Hi, that's my proper hellos for you. Hello.
Everything is fine.
Ah, good. You know, it's the first online conference I do, so I'm not sure. I'll leave it loop for a bit, but maybe not. But the good thing is, like, I missed the stage and everything, but if this was live, this is what you would have been seeing. Just my forehead. So at least now you see more of me than on stage. And this was during my very first conference, Beyond Talleyrand. Hi, Mark. I know you're here. And I learned from that. Don't worry. I learned that to never stand behind the podium. Never. So my name is Dina Amin. And Dina with a small d and not with a capital D, because I really hate capital Ds. I imagine things when I see them, and they're always not pleasant. So never write my name with a capital D, never. And as Vitaly already told you, I love taking products apart. I just absolutely love it. It takes a tons of time, but I'm in love with it. And if this isn't even enough, I like animating them as well. This will go on forever. I absolutely love taking product support. I'm not sure if you have seen this one already or not, but I'm gonna play it. Hi, Chris, if you're here. I made this one for Chris Coyer for CSS tricks. And I absolutely love taking product support, but I'm not, I love stop motion, but I wasn't an animator. I studied product design, and all this started accidentally. I found my love for taking product support, for animation, for playing with junk, all by accident. And it happened 4 years ago when I also accidentally started a side project on Instagram called Tinker Friday. In this project, I combined my love for product design, and I found my love for stop motion and my views on consumers. And I would show people what's inside the things that they throw away every single Friday. So this is what I would do. I pick a product, a random product. This is a mobile pouch. It used to be an important mobile accessory back then. It's still there, it's thrown away, but it still exists. It's still on our planet. And this is what's inside it. I loved taking the products apart, and I found myself transforming them into different characters. And I absolutely had no idea about animation. I didn't even own a camera, never actually used it. I would literally tape my phone to the table and spend hours and hours just moving things, taking a photo, moving things. I just knew the basic idea of stop motion, but all what I really wanted to do is take all my ideas inside my head and bring them into the real world. So how did all this start? I did study product design in Malaysia, and I loved product design, but I hated how everything we design almost ends up like it's destined to be thrown away somehow, especially in a country like mine in Egypt, where we get very low, very cheap products because, of course, there's a market need for it. They barely work for a month or something, and then they get thrown away. This is a market. This is a scrap market in Baba in Cairo, and it's literally full of things. Everything you could think of, it's gonna be there, and it's literally picked from garbage bin. Vendors there, they collect it from garbage bin, clean it up, and then they sell it in these markets. But regardless of how I disliked the real part of product design, I did graduate. I did work in product design a bit. I came back to Egypt and I worked for product design a bit, but back then there weren't a lot of product design jobs. No one really knows what a product designer is. So when you don't find product design jobs in Egypt, you end up being a graphic designer. So when everyone ends up being a graphic designer, what usually graphic designers do in Egypt is manage social media. So this is what I used to do as well. I kept hopping from one job to another, just accepting whatever was an opportunity to me in Egypt, till years passed and I found myself working in a fashion shop, like a fashion company. They did like ethnic wear in Egypt, which I really liked. They made all handmade products, but I was managing their social media, and I found myself answering messages to women who want to like buy pants, and they'd ask me like, what should I get, the green one or the blue one? And I'm like, at 2 a.m. and women in Egypt shop at 2 a.m. because there's no other time to do that. So I would have to like answer all these messages. And after 4 years of like graduating and working in all sorts of things, I just found myself in a place where I really did not know what I liked or disliked anymore. I found myself working in very random jobs that I wouldn't have chosen. I was just accepting anything just that was presented to me. So one day I decided that I will stop this and I will be in control of this and I'll make a decision. And it was very funny because I literally just said, I don't know what I liked or disliked anymore. I have no idea what I want to do. But when I started thinking of it and I decided that this whole thing of exploring, I'm just going to explore 1 year after another, should stop. Because what if, okay, I do this for a lot of, like 1 year, I'm a graphic designer, 1 year, and this and this and this and this. And I'm very happy that I'm not specialized, like I'm a generalist and I'm not jack of all trades and all this thing. But what if I keep doing this and I never find the thing that I want to do, because this thing is not there yet. Like this thing is a thing that I will start and no one else started it, so I can't find it. So when I started thinking of this, just this one point, I thought, okay, maybe it is a possibility. Maybe you shouldn't just go and just explore every opportunity. Maybe you should start things too. So I decided, okay, if I want to start something, then I want to start something that I like or I love, I'm passionate about, that I can, that people can relate to, that solves a need, that maybe I can explain to my parents, or like my grandma can understand it easily. It relates to the culture. It pays the bills. It's useful and all this. But then when I had all these limitations, I didn't get anywhere with all this. So I decided this is a bit too much. I'm just gonna focus on one thing. And when I just picked one thing, and I picked the most thing that was important to me, is that something that I absolutely love, regardless of if I'm gonna make money from it or not, regardless of if it's a career or not, if my parents will understand it, if it solves a problem or not. I disregarded all this. And when I did this, it was very, very apparent to me, like it just out of nowhere, it was actually right in front of me. Back then, I was sitting in our now old apartment. We were moving houses, and I was sitting in my old room, and I had in front of me this box. It's a box filled with products and junks that I collected over the years from friends and from family, from markets. And I never had the time to go through it, play with it. And I always kept it because I thought one day when I have the free time, I'd love to open products apart. And I thought, actually, if I was asked to do one thing in my life, one thing only that I would spend my whole life doing, it would be taking products apart, without a doubt. I love it so much. Of course, I have no idea how to turn this into a career or make money from, or how to explain this to my parents. Or, of course, my parents were very, very encouraging to the idea. When I went, I told them, I'm gonna quit my job, and I decided I'm gonna spend my time taking products apart. This actually happened, and they were like, "You were gonna what? You're just gonna sit in your room and take products apart? Like, how is this even possible?" Like, my dad was thinking more of you were always like a high achiever, and you could have even gone to engineering school, but you chose this design thing that you studied. And then you can easily like work in a multinational company here in Egypt and like make a lot of money and be successful. And my mom was more worried of the part of not leaving the house and meeting people and meeting the potential husband and this part of the story. But regardless if it made my parents happy or not, or I met someone or not, my potential future husband or not, I was very determined on doing this, and I did. I don't know how it made sense to me, but back then, it's a bit funny when I think of it now, but back then I decided that taking products apart is my true calling for some reason. I don't know how I convinced myself of this, but it was, I don't know how to explain it, but so this is what I've done. I decided that I'm gonna pick one day, and I'm gonna be consistent, and I'm gonna explore this. And to be very honest, I thought I would be designing one of these products. So what I did is I picked Friday because Friday is the beginning of the weekend in Egypt. And I was still working back then. I was working part-time in this fashion company. And I decided on Friday, I will pick one of these products from my box, take a photo of it, and document it somehow. And back then, this was in 2016, and I never used Instagram back then. I'm not really into selfies, or back then, this was Instagram, like taking selfies and photos of food and things like that. So I thought this is perfect. No one is actually going to see this, because I love documenting my projects and putting them online, but I feared people watching them. And so I never I started even blogs, but I never shared those blogs. No one saw them but me. But I just love the idea of documenting and seeing where this will process. And I thought I'll study these products. I'll take them apart. I'll do research on how they were made, how this all comes together, why were they thrown away, and I'll probably end up redesigning one of these products because I'm a product designer. Until one day, I took apart this shade rack, and I thought just putting one photo of all the parts and pieces is not enough. I want to show how all this comes together, and it's like a puzzle to me. So I know this thing called stop motion, where you take photos and you move something. I just know the basic idea of it. So I made this video. This is the first stop motion I ever do. I made it even with a slideshow app. I just took hundreds of photos, even more. I think it was like 500 photos or something. And I made like a 2 minutes video of it. And when I posted it on Instagram, of course, back then, Instagram only accepted 15 seconds video. So I go on Google and I search for a stop motion video, make it like shorter, something like that. And I find something called frames per second. I had no idea what even frames per second meant. And if you're not familiar, frames per second is the number of frames played in a second. So if it's 12 frames, then it is, you need to take 12 photos to make a whole 1 second. And I didn't know in stop motion, you either animate on twos, which is 12 frames, each frame taking twice, or on ones, and these are 24 frames per second. You take 24 different photos. I was like, there's a lot more about stop motion than I knew. So I really loved it. And I thought, okay, every week I'm going to make a stop motion video. And I started doing this, and I was consistent. And I would write a bit about all my gatherings and my research and so on. And I wanted to name the project, so I named it Tinker Friday. And it was actually named by some of the people who followed me. It was a small number of people who followed, and I asked them what to name it. I wanted to be consistent. So someone said Tinker Project, because his name is Leonardo. He suggested that name, and he said, this is what you do, you're tinkering with things. And someone else said Explosive Fridays, because I take things apart. And I thought it was a bit like explosive. The explosive part was not a good idea. Like when you Google my name, Dina Amin, Explosive Fridays, that is not a thing I want next to my name in Google at all. I never get a visa ever. So I combined the two. So I named it Tinker Friday just to be consistent with it, so that I do this every Friday. And I did. First, I would just animate the parts, and then week after week, it started developing. So I would see some faces in the pieces and make stories out of them. And I made lots of characters. I started building characters. This is from a cassette tape. These are from the PlayStation controls. This is another also, what is it called? The adapter, cassette tape adapter. And I just loved the whole process of imagining characters and making a narrative out of them, and the fact they're coming from products. And I'm gonna ask you a question. Let's see. How many? This is an analog like timer. How many pieces do you think is in there? What I really love, that just write the random numbers in the chat. I'll read them. I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. I love that whenever I made a video of these and I put them online, people will always comment and say that they never imagined that there are so many parts inside all these products, even the products that they use on a daily basis, like their watches and mobile phones and all this. So I loved making them. I loved showing people that what you're throwing away is not actually one thing, but a lot of things. And maybe it's easier for us to throw away things when we treat it as one, like one plastic product, and not in this case, like I'm gonna say the number, 156 parts. So I'm gonna show you what's inside. So for this one, I always try to teach myself something new every week and about stop motion. And for that week, I saw something that Walt Disney used in their cartoons. It's a multi-plane machine or camera. It's basically layers of glass, and they put the camera on top, and this added like depth to the cartoon. They use it in Snow White and cartoons like that. And I thought I'll try it out, but I didn't have anything. But I did have one piece of glass in our living room table, and I took it. I put it on some sticks and Pringles cans. I always use that. You'll see them in all my videos. They're really handy. And I just kept moving things, and I edited all this out later on. And this is how I did it. These are all the parts inside a what is it called? Portable camera. And this is what I saw inside. I have, my process was very straightforward. I would pick a product, take it apart, just tear the parts, maybe move them around a bit, and just stare at them until I see something that makes me smile. When I see that, then I know this is the thing that I want to get out of my head and show it to people. So this was a footballer. This is another one, a hairdryer. Sometimes the idea is funny. Sometimes it's something that I'm always thinking about when I look at that product. In that case, when I always see like hair products, like the hair dryer, I always question whether we really needed it or not, and whether like it's known in our culture in the Middle East that it's like a necessary item for all women to have. Like if you take care of yourself, you should have like a hair dryer, because long straight hair in the Middle East is good hair and short curly hair is bad hair. This is the labels that we had. And I always thought of that, and sometimes my stories is about questions and I have and things I wonder about. This was my latest from that series that I made. I took apart a doll head, and it's actually the first thing that I remember taking apart as a child, as a kid. I remember very clearly my mom's reaction when she walked in and saw me pulling the eyeballs from the doll's head, because I wanted to know how their eyes close when you put it down. So now I know, but I didn't know back then. And this is what I saw inside. Sorry. So I want to share with you today 3 things that I learned from all this tinkering that I do. And the first thing I learned was that the internet is awesome. It's not a place that I fear anymore. I love it, and the internet is not just awesome. The internet is people. It's made of people who share part of their brains and part of their hearts, the things that they care about online. So all the skills I had, I taught myself everything about stop motion, but it's not really self-taught because someone else put the information out there, they put their work out there, and I learned from it. And the stop motion community on the internet is a really amazing community. I would send even like big animators in Leica and Aardman, and I would send them questions and I asked them like, how did you animate this part? And they would tell me they would tell me how to improve my work. And I like being just in Egypt. We don't even have like a stop motion school in Egypt. I can never learn this like here. So first lesson is the internet is awesome. I also met really incredible people there, like Doro. I met her online. She's actually my best friend now. She also does little stop motion animations, and she also loves picking trash from the from the streets and like from watched by the rivers. And the first video we made together, I was still in Egypt and she was in Germany, and she made the first part and I made the second from all the things that we collect similar to each other, and we made this one. We made she made the first part in Germany. She lives in Hamburg, and she sent me that part, and then I animated the second part in Egypt, and she had no idea what I was gonna do, and it was a really fun project. And then when I did my talk ever in Beyond Talent, I thought, why not go visit Doro, like see her in real life. So I did. I went and I stayed with her 1 week with someone I never met before, and we stayed together 1 week and we played with trash, like with her garbage, and we made this video together. It was awesome. I'll show you what we made. We made a pencil machine. Second thing I learned was my biggest problem until today is the job title. I had no idea because I wasn't at that first when I started, I wasn't really an animator because I did not study animation. I didn't know anything about animation, and I didn't even know the basic animation principles. I didn't even know that there are animation principles. But I wasn't also a product designer because I did not design things. I actually broke things. So I wasn't a product designer. I wasn't an animator, but I was doing a lot of things. And I thought how to answer this question when someone introduces themselves and they're like, hi, I do this, what do I say? And I decided that I'm just gonna drop or like just say many titles. Like I'm not gonna be just one thing, because now I can say that I am an animator. I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. And but I'm also a maker, I'm also maybe a designer, maybe I'll be a cook one day, who knows. I'm just gonna embrace all the titles. Like, I love that I never imagined that one day I'll be doing stop motion, and I never imagined that I'll even reach this level or I can do this. And maybe one day I'll surprise myself and be doing something else that I don't know. Maybe I'll design machines or something, or I don't know, make the world's, I don't know, biggest pizza. Maybe someone already did that. I'm not sure. But I'm just gonna drop the titles. But I'm gonna show you my show reel. And when I did this, I was like, okay, now I have a show reel. Now I am an animator. So I'll show you some of my work over the years. So when I also first started, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna choose, like, I shifted careers, so now I'm animator, and I did the mistake of becoming an animator and literally just, okay, throwing away the product designer part. So I started, like, how do animators start? They learn to draw and they draw things, and they start with cell animation, and then they do claymation, and then they go on animating puppets. But I waste a lot of time doing this, and then I realized that I'm not just an animator, I'm also a product designer, and I love combining those. I love animating products and taking products apart and seeing things in different ways. And once I realized that, and I realized that this is my thing, and I love animating products specifically, I started challenging how this can be done. And I started making, like, puppets from regular products and imagining them coming to life, like a glue gun. Yeah, this goes on forever. I made this miserable loop in 2019, and I named it When I Try to Put My Life Together, because it just, like, whenever I thought like my life is coming together, it falls into pieces. and I thought it's the worst year ever. That it was like I did not see 2020 coming. So I apologize to 2019. It was an amazing year. This is a recent animation I did, and it was I animated a book, and I made a. I made a talking book. And from that is when I really focused on my strength being a product designer. And I thought that when I wanted to animate a book and it was for a challenge that was made on Instagram, I first researched how that book is made, but because I know like all the parts of a book, and I thought maybe I can use the book's elements itself to make it talk and not just paste a mouth on it or something. And then I thought maybe I can use origami. And then I found out the whole world of book folding. And then I folded 14 shapes and 14 books, and then I made the animation. I also thought maybe I turn my animations into real objects. So this is a real thing I made from the first animation I showed you, and it started as an animation, and then I made this in real life. It's actually this one here. And I put like a whole video of how I done it on YouTube. You can watch it later. And I just decided that I love products and I love things that people, specifically products that were thrown away. And this is like my medium that I create with. So I can take something like this and make something like this, and then make it move and do things, experiment with all scraps and bits of pieces that people throw away. And I wanted to make, this is the first automata that I made. And I made it like from packaging materials, from toothbrushes, nails, and anything I can find, like screwdrivers. I think I used screwdrivers, like ID cards and all things. I wanted to make a flying bird because, you know, when you first start a project, you should start simple, but I wanted to, like, yeah, another mistake. But I did make it. Oh, it's not playing this one. Oh, here. So it is a bird, but it only attempts to fly. It does not soar up high, but it did have wings that spread. So it is like a small success. But it was my first one, and I really enjoyed making this. And it made me think maybe I can make more things like that. I don't just need to be just an animator now. So I can take something like this and make this. I've always wanted to make a mini version of the arm flailing, air dancing tube man, and it is by far the best thing that I've made so far. I've made many things, but this is my favorite. Just we need one in 2020. We need like 100 ones all around us. And last lesson I actually learned at that place. And this is to give you like an idea of what this is. I'm going to show you a tiny bit of it. I went to visit Garbage City in Cairo, and to me, it's a very inspiring place, and it's very unique. It's like no other place I've ever seen. So the Garbage City was a bunch of people from South Egypt who went to Cairo looking for jobs, and they decided that it's a Coptic community, and they decided they saw all the garbage thrown away on the streets back then, and they decided they're gonna collect it and maybe reuse it, resell it, and it became Garbage City. Like now there are 60,000 people living there, and I'm gonna show you a bit. They live in in the area of a mountain called Mu'attam. And they carved parts of the mountain to live in. This is the what is it called? Monastery there, and it's an amazing place. Like you see where Jesus is, there actually is a what is it called? Like a sky. What is it called? The jump. What is it called? Where you can skydive. So it is actually where like we see at where Jesus statue is, and you see like this cord going there, and there's someone there who made a skydiving climbing sports thing there. It's very unusual to this place. Like you see all these are also the carvings are made by a Polish artist who lives there. And they are really a community of their own. They sculpted the mountain, and they're living around there, and they work there. They gather the garbage and they work there. So I went there one day just to give you like idea of how the place is. I went there, and usually Egyptians don't go there because they don't think highly of garbage collectors, and the only Egyptians who go there are journalists. And they usually trash talk about the garbage collectors because they say they're millionaires and all this. Never mind this part. But so mostly foreigners go check the place, check how they recycle and collect things. So I went there, and then I see everyone looking at me, and everyone there from the people there, they look at me, and whenever they ask me like who you are, they ask me, are you a Muslim or are you a Christian? And they're asking this. I was very it's the first time that I had this asked to me, and from people in Egypt, because I wear this, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying this story. So when a woman asked me this there, I told her, why are you asking me this? Like, how come you're asking me this? Like, I'm wearing the headscarf. You would know that I'm a Muslim. But she told me because they wear too. It's not just for Muslims. Like, they wear too. But she told me, like, I've never seen a Muslim Egyptian woman wear it like you. I was like, this is just a weird question. Like, how come you've never seen, like, it's everywhere? So I told her, like, how come, like, you don't see people outside? And she told me, I don't go outside Garbage City. I'm like a fish out of water. And you know that expression, like, in English, it means something like you, like a fish out of water, like you feel uncomfortable in unfamiliar or like new environments. But in Egypt, we don't say, like, we're very realistic about it. We don't say like uncomfortable. We say I'm like a fish, I die, because a fish out of water is not uncomfortable. A fish out of water dies. So I'm like a fish, I'm gonna die out of water. And I took this sentence from her, and I always keep thinking about it now. Like, her neighborhood was her fishbowl. This is all she knew. She thought that this is her context, this is her environment, and anything else outside her neighborhood, she's not gonna feel comfortable at, and she's gonna die. Like, just her neighborhood. It's like she put a physical barrier that wasn't there at all, and she's living her life not even knowing the people outside. So I always now ask myself, how big is my fishbowl? Because I kept thinking, and I noticed that I do this too, but maybe her fishbowl was as big as her neighborhood. My fishbowl, is it as big as my country? So I'm only like looking for opportunities in Egypt only. I only talk to Egyptians. I think that I can't work with anyone other than Egyptians. Or is it my fishbowl is my medium, so I only work with computers, I don't work with art stuff, or maybe I'm only work with art stuff and I don't, no, coding and all this is not my medium. And not that maybe you can't, it's not a medium that you prefer, but if I treat it as a limitation, a barrier that I can't even cross because it is not my world, then I'm limiting my whole environment. So it keeps me thinking of, is my environment Egypt or is it the whole world? And I thought I was pretty good at thinking that my fishbowl is big until I met Seb Lester, and he was saying that he always wanted to make a project for NASA, and he actually got this done. I was like, oh my God, damn, his fishbowl is as big as the whole universe. Like even this, he can imagine that it is in his world. Even the space is part of his world. So I always think like now whenever I and it happens a lot. It happens a lot that I am faced in a situation and I realize later on that this was a fishbowl moment that I should have realized. For example, I want to ensure that I'm on time. Let me know if I pass time or not, but this is the final thing. I'm going to share with you something that actually happened this month. Oh, I'm past time. Okay. Then ask me later in the questions and then I can answer it. But this was it. This is the 3 things I've learned, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, then just ask away. You can find me. The way to find me is on Instagram. And yes, thank you so much for having me.
It worked, Dina. How are you doing today, Dina?
I'm good.
With the lowercase d?
With what, sorry?
With the lowercase d.
Yeah, I love you.
It's all mutual. It's all mutual. It's always very interesting for me. It's always, I mean, I probably have seen you speaking like 3-4 times, and I always just like this, and I'm smiling with my full laugh and all. You bring an incredible level of positivity and energy to everywhere. So that's great. Thank you so much. We still have a few people joining in later. Wondering, what was your experience like? Is it weird to speak in front of just a machine, hoping that somebody out there can listen to you?
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah.
Very weird, because I also can't see what people are writing, or if anyone is writing, or I can't I don't see faces. Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult, and everything is a little bit just slower maybe at times, and then it takes people to chat and stuff.
I'm so happy and impressed by my internet.
Yeah,
it is a big challenge.
Where are you, by the way? Is it your like a creation?
My studio. Yeah, this is where the magic happens.
Ah, so this is a magical. I can feel magical pixels right there.
See, like these are like parts of the Chris video I made. This is the keyboard that I smashed. I took apart.
Yeah, like that. I know. I'm wondering though, and I think that some of the attendees will be wondering as well. Do you have like a dream object that you would like to take apart at some point soon, like the big thing, something that would be really?
Yeah, I want to, because all the things I took apart are kind of small, so I want to try maybe a fridge. Someone told me also washing machines are also very interesting. They have interesting parts. Maybe a car one day. Who knows?
Wow, that's ambitious. It's probably going to
my fish ball fits a ball, so fits a car. Sorry, so maybe it's possible.
Well, because during the chat, somebody in the chat actually said that their vacuum cleaner is broken, so they were wondering, if you take it apart, do you think you would be able to take things together as well?
Yes, No, I'm actually very good at it. Like I take it, all the things I took apart, like I did this for a year and a half, and I took hundreds of products apart. All of them, I put them all back together, except the wristwatch, because it had very small gears, and I couldn't even see what goes where. But everything else, this is the challenge, to take it apart and then put it all back together the correct way.
Right. So I'm wondering, how does it even work? So to be really kind of strategic about it, right? So you really need to understand the mechanics of how things work and all of that to be able to put things together again so they work still.
Yeah, not really the mechanics, because a lot of the things I take apart, I don't understand how they work or how they're put together, but you need to be observant. So you need to understand that every little piece that it's put there, it's not just put there for decoration. It has a purpose, or it has, like, if there's a part that is recessed, that means that there's something else that is put in it. Or if there is a sticker, maybe underneath it there is a hidden screw. Maybe there is a spring hidden somewhere, the latches, and all. You need to see, like, the plastic pieces are not just plastic, but they are designed in a way that all pieces fit together. So you need to be good at solving puzzles. Yeah, this is
Well, I think that you're pretty good at solving puzzles, I would say. That's interesting. Thank you. So I'm also wondering about the, the professional, I guess, side of it. So I'm still trying to figure out, when was this transition? Then all of a sudden, this thing where you just, do these things that you like, essentially, turns out into that thing like rolling, where you get all kind of international clients all of a sudden, right? What do you think is it? I mean, I understand that you just kept doing it and it was visibility and all those things.
Yeah.
But when do you think this happens? What needs to happen for this to become successful?
I think you need to know, like, yourself, or what you're good at. Because when you do what you're good at, then you come up with the greatest ideas. And when people see your ideas, this is what they want. This is what clients hire me for, the international clients, because they see that I can do something that no one can. And I can do that because I understand how my brain works. Kind of, like, I understand part of it. I'm trying to understand more. Like, for example, when I was saying in the presentation that I thought that being an animator, so I'll go animate like all other animators. I'm gonna draw people walking, and I'm gonna bounce a ball and do all these things. But I wasn't good at this because I can draw, but I'm not a 2D animator. I am a product designer as well. And my brain works when I mix different disciplines together, and then I can create something new from all these interactions of disciplines. So when you know how your brain works, and maybe also what's the best way to work, like what is the best environment for you to work in, where do you find ideas, and of course, like, first thing is you know how to produce good ideas and where to find your ideas and how your brain works, and you show people those ideas. So if you're very good in, like, designing and stuff, but you hide it, then no one will see you. No one will see this idea, and no one will see that maybe they want this, because they wouldn't know. Like, no one will know exactly what they want. No client knows what they want, but they see you, that you make something interesting, new, and different, and they want something interesting, new, and different. Maybe it's not even related, like for example, the video I made for Chris Coyer. It's about web development, but he wanted something different and unique, fast, and
Yeah.
I made it.
Interesting. So what is on your agenda right now? Do you have any ongoing project that you're extremely excited about, maybe not allowed to share yet?
I have too many projects on my agenda.
Okay.
I'm currently working on but it's mostly client work that I can't share yet. I also have sponsors coming this year, so I also have this. I'm not allowed to say who, but I'm looking forward to this one as well. Yeah, so this year, like the first half of it was miserable, and it was like a lot of silence and a lot of like, we don't know if we're gonna live or not, and all this. But like, thank God, the second part is good. It's full of projects, and I'm just like working, see what next year is.
Of course. So you also said in your presentation that essentially, what is a fishbowl? Like, how big is the fishbowl? And it's very interesting because many of us tend to be sometimes kind of in a safe spot. If you know your people around you and have your local community, then kind of start working around that community. And did I understand correctly that in your case, essentially, you're not even looking specifically at the industry or at work coming from Egypt. You're looking just everywhere, and you're kind of more looking at the global space, right? So how do you do that? Do you try to be very proactive looking for clients, or you're just doing your work and then it's just the word of mouth? How does it happen?
A lot of things. So when I first started, I took the decision that I'm gonna write in English, which a lot of people in Egypt don't do. They write in because they're Egyptian, so they're gonna write in Arabic. But English is like it's the second most used language on the internet. So I decided, no, I want to share with the whole world and not just Egypt, because I want to. Because I studied in Malaysia, and I was very comfortable, like befriending and dealing with people who are different than me. And I actually missed that when I went back to Egypt. So when I did this, I thought I want to meet and get to know people from all over. Like, I just don't want to be in my fishbowl. I just want to be like, I have the internet, like I'm part of the whole world now. So this is the first thing I did. And I put up a website, which is very important. Like, even that social media is important and all this, but all the serious client work, they come through my website. So I know this is something like duh, but in Egypt, not everyone has a website. Like, they think, okay, if I put my work on social media, then people would just reach me there. But for international clients, I found out that all my serious projects, because they want to go to your website, this is where you present yourself in text form and photos. You have like a lot of space that you curated yourself to show who you are. And before they want to do business with you, they're gonna go and check everything about you. And if they like it, they're gonna send you an email and tell you, I want to do this and this. Yeah. Which not a lot of people do in Egypt. But I also seek out people, like, just even to, like, when I started doing it, it wasn't really for jobs, because I wasn't looking at being an animator. It was just fun. I was doing it. So I was just talking with animators and making connections, not knowing that this might actually lead to something after years. So I would just speak with, just like, being part of the community. It's not just like, I'm gonna go network. No, I was just talking to other animators, asking them, how did you do that? How it is? Where are you from? Like, just speaking with other people. And people, afterwards, then someone mentioned me in an article, or tell them, oh, there's this animator from Egypt, or send the video to one company, or recommend me to a job, or a lot, this is how it happens. It's not just you putting your work there. You have to be part of the community.
Yes, so that's it's, for me, it's often refreshing to hear pretty much everything you have to say. Mostly just because I was born in Belarus, and there are now protests in the streets of Belarus, and heavily suppressed. by the government and so on. And I think in many ways, we just very often, as I said in the introduction, just take things for granted, or just, you know, things are. But then really being able to understand that your actions always have an impact on somebody or on something. And you never know which, but just working hard or being kind to people. For me, this was something that really probably brought most things, positive things in my life back to me. So just being nice and everything. And it's just very kind of refreshing and empowering to hear your story. We are actually almost out of time already. But maybe one more thing I would ask, if you don't mind. I remember us having this conversation when, I think maybe 2 years ago, when we had a call about the state of web things in Egypt.
Yeah.
I remember us having this conversation at a point where the connection was a little bit choppy and it was a little bit dark on my end, and then it was just really surreal because I could hardly see you, and then it was a bit choppy every now and again. But now it's brilliant. It's just
yes,
great.
I'm actually surprised too.
So I'm wondering, how do you see things evolving? I mean, we don't get many news from the state of the web or internet in general in Egypt, let's say.
It actually
Getting better?
it's actually very different. Like in the last only 2 years, it kind of exploded in Egypt. Like you finally see a lot of creatives sharing their work. A lot like going back to what we were saying, like before that, it was only like people who know people who do, like they want to do so, even if this person doesn't know how to do it, but because they know them, so it's only the same circle of people who work together, went out together, did things together. So there's a lot of talents and a lot of creatives and a lot of opportunities and a lot of things that we were not exposed to just because everyone was in their circles too much. It's still there in Egypt, but it's kind of exploding now that you can see a lot of things emerging, a lot of events being created. Because once someone takes the leap and takes the risk and like does something, then people feel like comforted, like oh okay, this works. Maybe I can do this too. So yeah, no, it changed a lot. I can see a lot of changes, positive, in a positive way. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. And maybe, who knows, maybe you have inspired this wonderful community in Cairo and all around Egypt to actually do something and move to another direction. So, I'm always very excited and very happy to be able to kind of take a glimpse into your life and what you're working on. And there's always something new, and there's always something exciting and something to be smiling with. And this is all has everyone.
Thank you for being part of it.
So with this in mind, thank you so much for joining, Dina, lowercase d, very important. Dear friends joining us, thank you so much for coming in as well. Don't forget, we have a few things happening right now. If you want to join me, there's apparently a huge party. Can you hear the noise of the party in another tab somewhere? I think there is a party happening, and I'll just go by in a moment to see what it's like. And maybe I will see you and everybody else out there. Thanks so much for joining, and see you next time.